You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WLCX Daily News Roundup for the Eagle 1490 AM in La Crosse.
For 1490 WLCX, I'm Jimmy Kuska. Not one, but two new Chief Justices were named by the Wisconsin Supreme Court this week. With more, here's Civic Media's Savannah Tomei-Olson.
The Chief Justice sets administrative procedures and policies, works with court officials across the state, and is the figurehead of Wisconsin's judicial system. Until now, conservative Justice Annette Ziegler had the title, but her term has ended. In an election yesterday, the justices elected their colleague, liberal Ann Walsh-Bradley. She'll only serve for 2 months before she retires in July. By that point, she will have served 3 10-year terms on the state's high court. Susan Crawford will take her seat on the bench. But they've already chosen the next Chief Justice, too. Jill Karofsky will hold the title after Walsh-Bradley's retirement. Karofsky spent her career in Dane County, largely working as a prosecutor for the county, then the state of Wisconsin, and has specialized in serving victims and programs that support survivors and prevent abuse. Karofsky will serve as the state's Chief Justice until April 2027. For Civic Media News, I'm Savannah Tomei-Olson.
The most recent Chief Justice, Annette Ziegler, held that role for the past 4 years. Governor Tony Evers is touring childcare facilities across the state, hearing directly from the people who run childcare centers about the impact of state funding on their operations. Current state funding for the Childcare Counts program is set to expire in June. Evers said that 1 in 5 childcare centers across the state would close without childcare counts.
Some legislators don't understand how important early childhood is, and I've seen numbers that I think are probably low that if we don't do something with this budget, about 20% of these places will close.
Losing childcare centers would affect everyone in the state.
We have a high employment rate in this state and very low unemployment rate. And if we people start closing their doors to doing this work, we're going to have a lot of people leaving the workforce, and that's going to impact our economy.
Now, it's up to the state legislature to decide whether to continue funding childcare counts.
We have the resources, and we should be able to take advantage of it. But we'll see. Everything is now in the hands of the legislature, so I don't want to make any guesses, but I'm very, very hopeful that they understand the education part of it, but equally important is how it impacts our economy and the workforce.
Evers said that early childhood education and childcare are critical for development and included over $500 million in his state budget proposal to make childcare counts permanent, as well as other ways to support childcare workers in Wisconsin. Advocates for family caregivers say federal cuts to Medicaid could have big impacts here in Wisconsin. With more, here's Civic Media's Joanne Krulotz.
Congress is considering at least $880 billion in Medicaid cuts as part of a bill to extend existing tax cuts. Janet Zander with Wisconsin Aging Advocacy Network says impacts of Wisconsin's aging population are already being felt, with many people leaving the workforce to care for relatives. Zander says Medicaid-funded programs like Family Care, IRIS, and CLTS help people remain in their homes and are the reason why many family members can continue working.
It's not yet known how much will be cut from Medicaid or how it will affect caregiver programs. It's time to renew your fishing license. With more, here's Civic Media's Melissa Kay.
2024-25 fishing licenses expired on March 31st. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources reminds anglers they will need a new license as of April 1st. This is for all residents and non-residents over the age of 16. There are also new fishing regulations available on the DNR website for the 2025-26 fishing season. The cost for resident license are $20 each, or you can purchase a spousal license for $31 so couples can fish together. Technically, Wisconsin's 2025-26 general inland fishing season doesn't open until May 3rd, but there are still places you can fish, so don't wait to purchase your license.
You can get a new license at DNR service centers across the state, at registered sales locations, or at gowild.wi.gov. A Wisconsin government agency is warning about phishing scams, and it's not the DNR. With more, here's Civic Media's Stuart J. Waddles.
It's the DMV, not the DNR, warning about a problem with phishing. The Wisconsin DMV is warning about a phishing scam where crooks impersonate the agency through text messages. The scams claim there's a final reminder for an outstanding toll. Wisconsin doesn't have toll roads. The aim is to trick you into clicking fake links or sharing personal information. If you do get scammed, you're being told to call local police.
You can also report scams to the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. No formal announcement has yet been made, but in an interview with WKBT-TV in La Crosse, Wisconsin Republican Congressman Derek Van Orden said he's planning on running for re-election. Van Orden, who is in his second term in Congress, defeated Democrat Rebecca Cook in last fall's election. Cook announced last month that she is running for the seat once again. Van Orden is planning on holding a virtual town hall Thursday, avoiding what he calls outside agitators at in-person events in Wisconsin. On Wednesday, Amplify Health announced that it was creating a new program to help people who are experiencing a mental health crisis. The unit is called Empath, which stands for Emergency Psychiatric Assessment, Treatment, and Healing. Empath is the first program of its kind in Wisconsin. It will offer specialized care to assist when someone is having a mental health crisis. The program is being added to La Crosse's mental health facilities next year and includes inpatient and partial hospitalization care. Wisconsin voters overwhelmingly approved a ballot measure to require photo identification in order to be able to vote in elections. The measure had nearly twice as many votes in favor as it did against across the state. The Republican-backed ballot measure will amend the state constitution to make the photo ID requirement permanent. The state legislature had originally passed the voter ID requirement back in 2011. Now, voter ID is protected from future lawsuits as part of the state constitution. Wisconsin voters approved the majority of school referendums on 2025 spring election ballots. 51 of the 89 ballot measures passed this spring, which adds up to just over $1 billion in additional local property tax levies. The largest was Oshkosh at just under $200 million. Of the 89 referendums, 56 of them were decided by a difference of less than 10% between yes and no votes. 24 referendums were decided by fewer than 100 total votes. A full list of school referendum results is available at civicmedia.us. You can get a full rundown of the spring 2025 election right now at lacrosseeagle.com or civicmedia.us/vote. Download the free Civic Media app now at civicmedia.us/app. For $14.90 WLCX, I'm Jimmy Kuska.
A Badger leaving Wisconsin. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college basketball. Badgers guard John Blackwell says he'll enter the NBA draft. Blackwell says it's his dream to play in the NBA. Now, as a sophomore, if he thinks there isn't enough interest, he can come back and play another year at Wisconsin. He must decide by June 15th. NBA, the Bucks beat the 76ers in Philly, 126-113. Giannis with a triple-double, including a career-high 20 assists, setting an NBA record.
I love handling the ball. You know, I love playing off the ball. When you're a primary ball handler, you just got to keep on making good decisions for the team. I try to make the best decision possible, either for myself or for my teammate.
The Brewers beat the Reds 1-0 at AmFam Field. A good night for catcher William Contreras and pitcher Nasty Nestor Cortez.
I feel like me and Contreras were on the same page all night long. I know we had a bad one in New York, but I felt like we were on the same page the whole time.
That's Nestor Cortez with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. It's week 14 at the box office, and the Minecraft movie is hitting the big screen. That's right, another video game turned movie. The family-friendly film stars Jack Black, Jason Momoa, and Emma Myers. The film has not yet been reviewed. If you're in the mood for a comedy that's not ridiculously silly, check out The Friend, starring Bill Murray and Naomi Watts. Watts plays a teacher, and Bill Murray, her mentor and deceased friend, who leaves her a giant Great Dane. The film is pulling in 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the word on the street is that the Great Dane is an incredible actor. And finally, a movie that sounds really interesting and stars pretty cool guys named Pedro Pascal and Ben Mendelsohn. Action comedy drama Freaky Tales is about a corrupt cop, an NBA star, a female rap duo, teenage punks, neo-Nazis, and a debt collector who are on a collision course in 1987 Oakland, California. I'm curious. The film is pulling a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, so let's go to the movies. Netflix's Adolescence is a ratings champion for the streamer. It tells the story of Jamie, a 13-year-old boy who is arrested for murdering a classmate, and how his family deals with the trauma. Heavy stuff, but very well done all the way around. So well done in tackling controversial issues like toxic masculinity and social media bullying that Variety reports that the UK government feels the show is so important they are making it accessible to UK schools, parents, and teachers. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he watched the show with his teenage children and that it really hit home. Starmer says he thinks as many children and parents as possible should see the show and have discussions about what kids see online so parents can better support them. Starmer calls the show groundbreaking. The 4-part series was created by Jack Thorne and Stephen Graham, who plays Jamie's father. Thorne says they created Adolescence to provoke conversation about a growing crisis. It's certainly done that. If you're looking for a movie to watch and don't feel like leaving the house this weekend, check out Last Breath. The film, starring Woody Harrelson, follows a deep-sea diving crew trying to fix a pipeline on the ocean floor when one of the crew members gets stuck. The rescue mission is fascinating, as is the story about the crew member who goes without oxygen for a prolonged period of time. It will blow your mind. The movie is a quick watch and received excellent reviews. Cannibal enthusiast and actor Armie Hammer's new film will be called Citizen Vigilante after Batman fans and Warner Brothers took issue with the original title, The Dark Knight. They really didn't think that would be an issue? Variety reports Hammer plays a vigilante who takes justice into his own hands and takes down criminals and maybe has them for dinner. I added that last part. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Bormans. A nice finish to the work week with partly sunny skies with highs in the lower 50s. For tonight, a few sprinkles can't be ruled out, otherwise cloudy with lows in the mid-30s. Gradually increasing sunshine on Saturday, highs in the upper 40s and a bit breezy. Current temperature is 33.
That's your WLCX Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lacrosseeagle.com. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.